Okay, good morning world. How are we today? Okay, well, I am driving a little bit later in the morning, so we have a bit more light. And this morning I was actually a bit shocked to read a article about how, the headline was Gina Rinehart is suing ABC, and you're like, oh, okay. Your first response is like, okay, why would she, there's, is she a trillionaire? I don't know, billionaire? Why would she be suing the ABC, right? Well, let me tell you. I mean, I know that a lot of people have it out for Gina Rinehart because she's like such a wealthy businesswoman in the coal mining industry, and a lot of people have a pretty big issue with coal mining, right? And I do get it, like when people are thinking, we've got to protect the earth, and we've got to use renewable energy instead of non-renewable. I get what you're saying, right? But like in the future, they're probably definitely not going to be using coal, okay? And I did do a little bit of Google researching before I made this video, and we've only got like maybe 140 years left of coal, in proven places around the world that we can dig up. So like, maybe we'll be using coal for energy for like the next 140 years. Then we definitely have to change over to something else. But it also employs like 8.4 billion, billion or million? I can't remember now. People worldwide, that industry, so lots of jobs. And people need to feed their families, people need jobs. And also people are under the assumption, I guess, through, what's the word? Sort of, just like negative narrative being spread through like media, I guess, like news and things like that. It's sort of like character defamation of the coal mining industry, where people are falsely led to believe that, coal mining is the worst thing out of everything for our environment, and that it's like, basically the single biggest reason for climate change, for heating up the atmosphere too much. And so I looked into that just quickly before, and actually there's like liquefied natural gas, and the what's it called, fluorinate or something like that, that's like the gas that goes in like air conditioners and fridges, and then what was the other one? It'll come to me. Anyway, there's like a handful of other gases that are going into our atmosphere that have nothing to do with coal mining, that are actually deemed much worse. Heating up the atmosphere at a much faster rate than the coal mining industry is responsible for. So I just want to lay that a bit out on the table as well, okay? Because I do feel like it is a narrative that's just like been shoved down everyone's throats, of that, the single biggest reason for us having any kind of climate issues is coal mining, and that's not facts. It's not facts. Anywho, and on that too, you know, people really do need to do their research into the environmental impact of you know, all of the what's deemed renewable green energy. Okay, because to make those things and to run those things actually has a very detrimental impact on environment. Okay, they're saying the end product is not as bad as coal mining and burning, but you have to look at the whole process. Okay, just like electric cars and things like that, you can't say, oh, because you're not putting diesel or petrol into it every day, you know, that's a greener car to use. Okay, well, go do your research on lithium batteries and all the things that make your electric car work, and then come back at me with your newfound awakening of how green your smart car really is. Okay, because actually it's very bad for the environment to make them. And then also, what are you doing with the batteries? What are you doing with the vehicle when you don't want it or something happens to it? Okay, you've created more problems for the earth to have to deal with later as well. Now, anyway, getting back to Gina Rinehart, you know, I've never really paid too much attention to what she's up to. You know, in my head, I just think of her as a very wealthy and successful business lady who I think maybe she had like inherited her business from her father. Maybe I could be wrong about that. Anywho, yeah, so she's suing the ABC because I'm so shocked to read this. Apparently a few weeks ago there was a like segment on ABC. I don't know if it was like a TV show that they had on ABC or if it was the news. I don't know. It didn't actually say in the article that I read. And so the quote that she's upset about is this thing that's like talking about when the revolution comes, right? I'm trying to quote pretty accurately here, but this is not going to be perfect. When the revolution comes, will you hide under your bed, or will you know exactly how to get a stick and shove it up Gina Rinehart's butthole and stir it around real nice to make her guts all smooth and make a sausage roll out of nothing? What the actual? What kind of psycho, like genuine psycho, wrote that script or spoke those words just offhandedly? I was in so much shock when I read that. Like, I read it to my partner and I was like, what the heck? Like, I cannot believe. And isn't the ABC, is ABC government funded as well? I cannot believe that somebody on ABC News or a segment on their channel, you know, it's all basically going to get approved, doesn't it? How on earth did that air? How on earth did that air? Okay, and I know this is a very wealthy lady that we're talking about over here. But, you know, and she doesn't need extra money by suing anyone. But yes, she should absolutely sue them for saying that. And it's like on the grounds of like basically inciting violence against her. You know, which it is. It's basically. I mean, I cannot, that is absolutely encouraging a violent attitude towards a woman in our country. It doesn't matter who she is and how much money or power she has, okay? You're inciting extreme violence against a woman. Like, that's it, full stop. You know, what kind of a country do we live in? That's okay. I thought we were trying to stamp out violence against women in this country. You know, it is a big enough problem. Who the heck approved that, you know, statement being made on air? That was aired. That statement made against a woman in our country. I cannot believe it. I think I'm still in shock, actually. And yeah, absolutely, she should win that lawsuit against them. And there has to be some sort of, you know, part of that ruling by the court should be something, you know, penalising the ABC, you know, broadcasting company for, I don't know, like producing content that's so offensive and inciting violence or something. And, you know, actually in this country, like, people are under the false assumption that we have free speech. We actually don't have free speech in Australia. You are not allowed to just say anything you want in this country, actually. You can actually be put in jail for, you know, making racist commentary, making, you know, like, anti-Semitic commentary, inciting violence. Well, I don't know if you just get like thrown in jail for any of this stuff, or if it's seen as like a situation where you go before a court and you like get fined with maybe a community service or something like that. But you definitely don't just have free speech in this country, and I would say it's even more risky to be talking against the government. I've actually thought about that a bit with some of the videos that I've made. I thought, like, oh, does that cross a line, you know, of like if somebody took offense to what I'm saying that's like in the government, would they like sue me or something like that? But I'm a nobody. Let's be real here, I'm a nobody. Anyway, and yeah, but yeah, so we definitely don't have free speech in Australia, and you can look all that up and see legislation around it. But yeah, you know, ABC Broadcasting Company should be very well in the know of what is acceptable and not acceptable to say in a public form, but also, you know, they're media, and they're a broadcasting company, and their reach is huge to, you know, millions of people, and they were inciting violence against a woman. Like, basically, it doesn't, like, you can't even say like, oh, that was just a you know, off the cuff little comment. Not really, no. It's like that took some serious psychopathic, like obsessive thinking almost. Do you know what I mean? Like that was like listening to the thoughts of like a serial killer or something like that. Yeah, that was detailed, gruesome, horrific, you know, language, invoking horrible imagery as well, like just terrible. And I hope they lose that lawsuit. I hope Gina Rinehart wins, you know, because we have to stamp out this, you know, thinking that it's okay to say violent things about people, or especially women, you know, in our country. It's disgusting. You know, and even if there was something to that degree said about, you know, Anthony Albanese, I can guarantee that everybody would be jumping up and down about that as well. He would also be jumping up and down about that. You know, it would be plastered all over the news in his favour, you know, talking about how disgusting it is. And I'm surprised as well that I can't remember now who wrote that article that I just read, but you know, for their article heading to be Gina Rinehart, you know, is to sue ABC, that's what they put as their headline, instead of, you know, violent, abusive threats or you know, invoking violence from the public against, you know, Gina Rinehart or whatever, or against a woman, or you know, anything like that. It wasn't written in a way that portrays the truth here, that a woman has been victimized of language that incites violence against her. It was more so like she's the big bad guy suing ABC. That's kind of the tone of the heading of that article. You know what I mean? So to me, that's bias. To me, it's like whoever wrote that article, whoever produced that article that I read, you know, they're on ABC side. Like, there's got to be something a bit not okay with you if you think that it's okay to say stuff like that. I will also finish on that. I was surprised to see even just at the start of that statement that they were referring to when the revolution comes, because you know, just recently I made a video that was talking about that we need like a world revolution. I just want to say right now, I don't at all align myself with ABC or whoever made that statement against Gina Rinehart. I have nothing to do with them. And the revolution I'm talking about has got nothing to do with, you know, harming people like in that statement. Okay? Yeah. Anywho, I am home now. A beautiful sunrise in the background. Yeah, so thank you all very much for watching, and let's all agree that we can stamp violence out. Okay, violence altogether in this country is not welcome, is it? Let alone against women, and that language is disgusting. You all have a good day, and I'll see you all soon. Thanks, bye.